Hi, I'm Laura During, and I'm an assistant professor at the Rotman School of Management. I'm here to tell you about an op-ed that I published in the Globe and Mail with my husband, McGill sociologist Jan During, on the challenges of divesting from fossil fuels and keeping investments in Canada. Much of the fight against climate change happens through provincial and federal policies. And of course, major policies will have the biggest impact on our reliance on fossil fuels. But there's a growing sentiment among individuals that we too are responsible for tackling climate change. And one important way that individuals can contribute to the fight against climate change is by divesting from oil and fossil fuel companies. But what if Canadians want to align their investments with their environmental values and keep their money in Canada? This turns out to be harder than you might expect. In fact, my husband and I spent many frustrated hours trying to find simple financial tools that would allow us to do this. Ultimately, we found that in Canada, investors basically have two options. First, we can invest in climate-friendly funds, such as those that focus on clean technology or simply avoid extractive industries. The problem here is that such funds contain practically no Canadian stocks. For example, RBC's Vision Fossil Fuel-Free Global Equity Fund invests almost entirely in American, European, and Asian companies. Choosing a fund like this means pulling your money out of Canada. Second, investors can choose Canadian-focused funds. But these funds are heavily weighted towards the oil and gas industry, even when they meet environmental, social, and governmental benchmarks, known as ESG standards. So at the moment, there is no easy avenue for investors who want to be both environmentally conscious and invest in Canada. We believe that financial institutions should create funds that allow investors to simultaneously meet these goals. For example, by creating a fund that invests in innovative, low-carbon Canadian companies. Such a fund could be part of a larger, balanced portfolio that contains international investments and investments in Canadian green bonds. People who are skeptical of this idea might argue that Canadian-focused funds that divest from fossil fuels would be more volatile and might carry higher management costs than traditional funds. That's possible, though the research on this is mixed. And even if the costs are higher, it seems that many investors would be willing to absorb them. We found that young people in particular are twice as likely as older generations to let environmental concerns inform their investing decisions. So as these young investors inherit and create wealth, financial institutions should start offering products that cater to their preferences. Canadian citizens face a dilemma if they want to uphold environmental values and invest in Canadian companies. And this is made even more difficult by our economy's deep dependence on fossil fuels. The only way out of this dilemma is to transition away from fossil fuels through aggressive development of the low-carbon economy. I believe that small-scale investors can offer critical support in this transition. And we hope that financial institutions will help make this possible by offering straightforward, low-cost investment tools that allow small-scale retail investors like us to support Canadian companies while keeping money out of fossil fuel extraction.